Back in January, you had so many plans. You wanted to change every single aspect of your life. You were so motivated. And now a few months have passed, and as every single year, you've been slacking. But we don't feel guilt around here, so don't worry. If you've been feeling a little bit too run down or slackish, I don't want you to overwork yourself. I want you to start from self-love. And so today, we're gonna see how you can get back into the driver's seat of your life. And I'm going to give you my 8-step strategy to not waste the rest of the year and actually thrive and be successful in the next 6 months. As always, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Mirella, and here we talk about all things self-care, class, and self-growth. And if you haven't seen it yet, especially if you're just starting your self-development journey, definitely go watch part 1, which is actually your ultimate guide on how you can rebrand your life. As always, if you want to connect with me, in the description you will find all of my information and my other socials. And without further ado, let's get straight into my tips. So first things first, reflection. I want you to take your little journal or just a piece of paper, and I really want you to reflect on the last few months and what worked and what didn't. Do just a progress check. I don't want you to take this time to punish yourself or just focus on the things that went wrong. I actually want you to focus on the things that went right, because that is where we should start. If you clicked on this video, it is very likely that maybe things are not going too well. But I do not want you to focus on that. First, let's focus on what went right. Give yourself some grace. Give yourself a pat on the back. I am sure that even if you didn't achieve anything physically, which I'm sure you did, you probably grew emotionally, or there's still something that you really can celebrate. So first thing first, let's focus on that. Now, once you realize that you're not an absolute failure and we can actually start with some self-love, let's do an actual progress check. I want you to focus on your habits, on your strategies, on what actually went right and wrong. For example, let's say that you wanted to lose weight. Why didn't you lose weight? What was the problem here? Maybe you were not able to be consistent with sports, or maybe you were not able to be consistent with your diet. So again, without any shame, without any guilt, list these things and actually realize what went wrong in my strategy. Being completely honest with yourself is the only way in which you can actually see the problem and solve it and actually achieve that goal. Something I absolutely love doing and that really helps me is searching for journal entries on Pinterest. Those are really so effective, and especially the most effective way, in my opinion, to really ask yourself some questions that normally you wouldn't ask yourself. To really be truthful with yourself, to really see what went wrong and what went right. The goal here, again, is not to shame, but is also to find a solution. So you need to be truthful. Ask yourself questions like, what worked? What didn't? What habits and mindset I do not want to bring in this new era of my life? Also focus on how that version of yourself would act. This always helps me have a lot more clarity and also puts me in a very good place because I feel so much motivated. It's refreshing. Now, next point, also take a moment to reevaluate your goals, because things happen, circumstances have changed, and maybe what you wished in January is not anymore what you wish now. It's very important that you do not only go back to the strategies, but also to the goals themselves. Maybe your priorities completely shifted because of something that happened. And this is also the reason why I always say that you're never too late to do your vision board. There's a lot of people that maybe in February are thinking that they haven't done a vision board in January, and so they're late. They have to wait another year. But guys, you are not late. Actually, I really think that it's much better to do it later than to do just one in January. Never check it, never do a progress check, never see how things are going. So to me, it's actually good if in June or in the middle of the year your priorities have changed, because that just means that you actually reflected more on it. So maybe in January you did a vision board, maybe you didn't think about it too much. So not only you can upgrade it anytime you want, you should upgrade it so that you can be clearer on where you want to go. So with no shame, again, really take a moment to reevaluate your goals, understand where you want to go, just have a little bit more clarity. Now, when you're done with the check, let's get back to the basics. Something I already mentioned in my other video, and of course everyone mentions, because again, it's the basics, is exactly to do a vision board or a new description of yourself or the new Pinterest boards, whatever motivates you, whatever puts your goals in front of you every single day and reminds you of where you're going and who you want to be and what your goals are. So we've done the progress check. We've seen what went wrong, what went right, so that we can change the strategies. We checked our goals. We made sure that the goals are the same, or if they changed, we made sure to change them. But visualization, I really feel like is such an important part of your self-development journey. journey. So if you haven't done it yet, and especially if your priorities have changed, make sure to sit down and actually do that vision board. So this one is an extra point. So you choose if you want to do it or not. But if you have some time on your hand, something I would really recommend that you do is to, instead of just doing one vision board, to actually do multiple vision boards divided into the categories of your life. Or to do a very big one divided into parts, where on one side you show, for example, your spirituality. On another side, you show the career. On another side, you show your workouts, your health goals. Because a mistake that a lot of people do is to be very generic in their vision boards. So you just put pictures that you like, or you just put pictures that you think represent a little bit where you want to go. You put money, but you're not specific about money. How much money do you want? Where do you want it to come from? Is it a career goal? How do you want to get the money? So you should be very specific. You should not just put the goal in there or the desired result, but you should also put the way you want to get it. Because again, the vision board has to act as a way for you to get motivated, to remember where you're going. So you have to be able to see the journey, not only the destination. So again, if you have time, you could also do multiple vision boards, but if you don't, that's fine too, but just make sure that you're very specific. Now, in my first points, I told you to really be clear of what went wrong and what went right, so that you could actually see with your eyes the strategies that worked and the one they didn't. So if you haven't done it yet, make sure to write down the new strategies, because it's definitely not enough to understand what went wrong if you don't have a new strategy, if you don't have a new way to achieve the new goals. You can plan all you want, you can do all the vision boards you want, but if you don't find a way to actually solve the problem, to actually achieve these goals in a concrete way, then you will be right back where you started. So going back to my previous example, if you understood the reason why you were not doing your workouts, it's not enough to find out why. You need to find a new strategy. You need to make sure that from now on, you will have a method to keep yourself accountable. This is the moment where you should do a little bit of research. Maybe watch some videos. Maybe look back at your old strategies. Maybe search it on Google. Maybe ask your friends if you have someone that you can look up to. Make sure that you have not done all this work for nothing. Make sure that you actually refine new strategies and that this time you can actually make it work. It's not enough to just see what went wrong. My next point is to live. Again, I want you to start from self-love, especially if you were too caught up into routines or something happened to you for which you were not able to follow your good habits. I really don't want you to put too much pressure on yourself, because actually one of the reasons why New Year rebrands never work is because people tend to put too much pressure on themselves. You really need to start things slowly. You need to make things normal for you. You need to make them part of your routines. And the only way to do that is to stop having an all or nothing mentality. To give yourself some grace, start slowly, and also live in the process. For example, if you skip a workout, you can just do it tomorrow. Or you didn't follow your diet, don't eat everything you have in your kitchen. It's because your diet is ruined. It is not. The important thing is consistency. One bad day doesn't mean anything, so you really need to give yourself some grace. Again, do things slowly, make them normal. And again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch part 1. Live in the process. Stop having this all or nothing mentality. My 7th point is to plan a lot. Plan every single thing. Now, as I said in one of my last videos, you can plan, but don't forget to act, of course. So planning is not enough, but planning is still very much important. At the end of every single week, maybe you can schedule your week to make sure that you have time for your workouts, to make sure that you have time to hang out with your friends. You can even schedule fun time. It's actually very important. Just like you schedule your work and your workouts, you should schedule your time with your friends so that you can make sure that you have time for everything. Again, it is not enough to have goals, even to have strategies, even to have vision boards, if you don't plan a way to fit them into your routine, if you don't plan a way to fit them into your schedule. And final point, this is really crucial, and I feel like it's actually the way in which in 6 months you will not have to go back here and watch this video again, and it is to always do monthly check-ins. At the end of every single month, I want you to reflect on what went right, what went wrong, so that you don't have to wait another 6 months or a year to do another rebrand. Even if things did not go too well, you can adjust accordingly. Also, while you make sure that you're achieving your goals, you should also celebrate your wins. Self-developments and self-check-ins are not just about punishment. It's not just about seeing what went wrong and what you have to make better. Also to reflect, just like my first point, what went right. Celebrate your accomplishments, so you will be even more motivated to go on. So with that said, I really really hope that this will be the last video you will ever watch on how to rebrand again. Or maybe that you will only watch them for motivation, but that you finally learned your lesson. I could make other 10 videos on this, and you can watch other 10 videos on this, but if you don't put in the work, don't actually put the effort in, you will never change. So again, start from self-love, and finally give yourself the opportunity to really achieve your dream life. So we are at the end of this video. As always, I appreciate you guys so much. I hope that you learned something, and I'll see you next week with a brand new video. Bye bye.